Imagine this. The sun is sinking behind the trees. You don't check your phone to see what time it is. You don't walk back to your house because you don't have one. Home is wherever your exhausted body finally collapses. And in just a few minutes, the world you've ruled all day is about to belong to something else. The air gets colder. The birds stop singing. The shadows stretch across the ground until every bush looks like it's hiding teeth. You hear something snap in the distance. Your family hears it too. Nobody speaks, because in this world, making the wrong sound can be the last thing you ever do. Tonight, just like every night before it, you have one goal: survive until sunrise. With no warm blanket, no locked door, no flashlight, and definitely no fire. Now here's the strange part. For millions of years, this wasn't a nightmare. It was simply being human. And if one discovery hadn't changed everything, our story might have ended before civilization ever began. Picture yourself waking up the next morning. You're hungry, really hungry. Not the "I skipped breakfast" kind of hungry. The kind that makes every berry, every insect, every moving animal look like the difference between life and death. Your entire day becomes one giant search for calories. If you don't find enough food today, there might not be a tomorrow. That's because your ancestors lived in a world with almost no safety nets, no farms, no supermarkets, no refrigerators quietly waiting in the kitchen. Nature didn't care whether you ate or not. Every meal had to be found, or caught, or stolen, and every one of those options came with risks. Imagine spotting a fresh animal carcass lying in the grass. Jackpot, right? Not exactly, because you're probably not the first one to notice it. Somewhere nearby, a pack of hyenas may already be circling. A leopard could still be guarding its kill. Even vultures circling overhead are bad news. They're basically nature's giant flashing sign that says something dead is down here, and every predator knows it. One wrong decision, and instead of eating dinner, you become dinner. Our ancestors weren't fearless warriors. Most of the time, they survived by being cautious, watching, waiting, running when they had to. Modern movies often imagine early humans as giant muscle-bound hunters charging at mammoths with spears. Reality was much less glamorous. For hundreds of thousands of years, humans were often somewhere in the middle of the food chain, strong enough to survive, weak enough to be hunted, and when the sun disappeared, things became much worse. Humans actually have pretty terrible night vision. Compared to many predators, we're almost blind in the dark. A lion's eyes gather several times more light than ours. Owls can spot movement in darkness that would leave us staring into nothing. Even large cats have whiskers that help them navigate where our eyes completely fail. Night belonged to predators. Here's something fascinating. Scientists think our fear of the dark isn't just something we learn as children. It may have incredibly ancient roots. Across cultures all over the world, people instinctively become more alert in darkness. Our brains pay closer attention to unexpected sounds. Our imagination fills empty spaces with possible dangers. That doesn't necessarily mean we're born afraid of monsters. It may mean our nervous systems were shaped by millions of nights when unseen dangers were very real. Your ancestors, who ignored strange noises, often didn't become anyone's ancestors. As terrifying as predators were, they weren't the only enemy. Cold quietly killed people too. Unlike mammoths, cold doesn't roar before it attacks. It doesn't chase you through the forest. It simply steals your body heat. Little by little, the temperature falls. Your fingers stop working properly. Your muscles stiffen. You huddle together with your family, hoping shared body heat will be enough. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it isn't. And then there's food. Raw meat is difficult to chew, difficult to digest, and dangerous if it's spoiled or filled with parasites and harmful microbes. Roots can be so tough, they feel almost impossible to eat. Some seeds are practically useless unless something breaks them down first. Your stomach works overtime, your jaws ache. You spend hours chewing meals that still don't give you all the energy locked inside them. It's an exhausting way to stay alive. But here's where the story takes an unexpected turn. Long before humans knew how to create fire, nature had already invented it. Lightning slammed into dry forests. Volcanoes spilled rivers of molten rock across the land. Sometimes two trees rubbed together during long droughts until they burst into flames. For animals, wildfire meant one thing: run. Everything fled. Birds, deer, elephants, predators. Nobody argued with fire, not even the king of the jungle. Imagine watching this from a nearby hillside, an entire forest glowing orange beneath a sky filled with black smoke. Trees exploding with loud cracks, heat so intense you can feel it from hundreds of meters away. Your first instinct wouldn't be curiosity, it would be terror, because fire looked alive. It moved, it spread, it consumed everything it touched. And yet, once the flames finally died, something strange happened. The forest became quiet, almost peaceful. The dangerous predators were gone. The ground was covered with animals that hadn't escaped. Some were burned, some were already dead. Some had something else your ancestors had probably never experienced before. Their meat smelled different. You break off a small piece of meat from one of the animals. It's softer, easier to chew, warmer. Your body doesn't know chemistry. It doesn't understand proteins or collagen or calories, but your brain knows one thing immediately. This is different, and once you've experienced something better, it's almost impossible to forget it. That single moment may have planted one of the most important ideas in human history. Not how to make fire, not yet. Something much simpler. Maybe fire isn't only something to fear. Maybe it's something worth chasing. And that tiny shift in perspective would begin a relationship that would eventually change our bodies, our brains, our families, and the future of every person alive today. But first, our ancestors faced an even harder challenge. It's one thing to find fire. It's another thing entirely to stop it from dying. Imagine standing in front of the glowing remains of a wildfire. The giant flames are gone now. Only a few fallen branches still burn, bright orange, crackling softly, beautiful and terrifying. You don't know how to create this. You only know it's alive, somehow. If it disappears, you may never see it again for months, maybe years. So you do something no other animal on Earth is known to do. Instead of running away from the fire, you take a piece of it with you. Not in your hands, of course. That would end badly. Instead, you grab a long branch with one end still glowing. Every step home feels dangerous. One wrong move, and the ember falls into dry grass. Too much wind, and it burns out. Too little air, and it slowly suffocates. You're not carrying an object. You're carrying a living opportunity. When you finally reach your group, everyone keeps their distance. Children stare with wide eyes. Adults watch carefully. The branch hisses and spits tiny sparks into the night. Nobody knows exactly what to do next, because no one has ever owned fire before. For a long time, this may have been humanity's relationship with flames, not creating them, protecting them. Anthropologists think early humans may have collected fire from natural sources, like lightning strikes or wildfires, and kept it alive for as long as possible before they learned how to make it themselves. Think about how strange that is. Today, if your campfire goes out, you shrug and grab a lighter. Back then, if your fire died, an entire season of safety might disappear with it. Suddenly, someone always has a job. Feed the fire, bring dry wood, protect it from rain, shield it from strong wind. Before long, the group begins planning their entire day around something that isn't even human. The fire needs attention, almost like another member of the family. In many traditional cultures throughout history, letting the communal fire go out wasn't just inconvenient, it was a disaster. Some communities even assigned people whose only responsibility was keeping the flame alive. That tells us something remarkable. Fire wasn't treated like a tool, it was treated like a treasure. And little by little, the impossible begins to happen. Night changes. Picture the same family sitting where, not long ago, they huddled silently in complete darkness. Now a warm orange glow dances across their faces. The shadows still exist, but they stay farther away. Predators linger at the edge of the light. Many dangerous animals instinctively avoid open flames. Not every predator, not every time, but often enough to make a life-changing difference. For the first time in human history, darkness no longer wins automatically. The day suddenly becomes longer. That's easy for us to overlook. But think about your own life. How much of it happens after sunset? Conversations, stories, planning tomorrow, laughing with friends, learning new skills. Our ancestors rarely had that luxury before before fire. Once the sun disappeared, the day was basically over. Now, suddenly, there were extra hours. Hours to repair tools, hours to teach children, hours to watch experienced hunters explain what they had learned. Around a fire, knowledge didn't die with the people who discovered it. It could be shared, generation after generation. Some scientists even think these evening gatherings helped shape the evolution of language itself. No one knows exactly how spoken language began. That's still one of humanity's greatest mysteries. But fire created something incredibly valuable: time together. And when people spend enough time together, they talk, or at least they try to. Now imagine one evening, someone accidentally drops a piece of meat too close to the flames. Everyone watches. The outside darkens. Fat drips onto the coals with a loud hiss. The smell spreads through the camp. It's unlike anything they've experienced before. Eventually, someone picks it up. Still warm, still steaming. Carefully, they take a bite. The difference is immediate. The meat tears apart with almost no effort. Instead of chewing for what feels like forever, they swallow comfortably. Their stomach has less work to do, and something extraordinary is happening inside their body, even if they have absolutely no idea. Cooking changes food before it even enters your mouth. Heat softens tough muscle. It breaks down connective tissue. It destroys many harmful microbes and parasites. Most importantly, it allows our bodies to unlock more usable energy from the same amount of food. Cooking is like someone unlocking part of your meal before you even eat it. Same food, much more accessible. That extra energy didn't just help people survive another day. Over hundreds of thousands of years, it may have helped transform humanity itself. Our ancestors gradually evolved smaller teeth than many earlier human relatives. Our jaws became less massive. We no longer needed enormous chewing muscles like some of our distant ancestors. Instead, something else became incredibly expensive: the human brain. Here's a fact that sounds almost unbelievable. Your brain makes up only about 2% of your body weight. Yet even while you're sitting comfortably watching this video, it's using roughly 20% of your body's energy. That's an incredibly hungry organ. A bigger, more capable brain comes with an enormous energy bill. Scientists continue to debate exactly how much cooking contributed to human brain evolution. It wasn't the only factor, but many researchers think cooking helped our ancestors unlock more usable energy from every meal. Energy that may have helped support larger, more capable brains. Brains that could imagine, invent, experiment, and refuse to stop asking, what if? And that's when everything changed. Because once humans learned to control fire, progress stopped resetting. One discovery led to another: better tools, better food, safer nights, bigger ideas. Those ideas became villages. Villages became cities. Cities became civilizations. Civilizations built ships, then engines, then electricity, then computers, then rockets, all because one frightened ancestor looked at something every other animal feared and chose not to run, and decided, maybe this is worth keeping alive. From the first spark of fire to the first step on the moon, every chapter of humanity is connected. Subscribe, and let's experience the journey together.